Welcome to Blarmy. I want to talk a little bit more about blame. Blame is the opposite to responsibility. Blame is a tactic. It's a tactic that results in resentment and anger and hatred. When somebody's blaming somebody else for something, they control the story, but not necessarily the truth. Now, there is the cliche that a lie travels much quicker than the truth. But in my experience, the truth always catches up. I've had to wait years sometimes, but it's got there, and I've been patient. Now, when we're blaming, we're handing over that responsibility to somebody else, which is why it's the opposite of responsibility. So therefore, when you blame somebody else for a situation that you find yourself in or how you're feeling, you're saying that they have the power and control over what you do and how you feel. So it's almost like victimhood when you're blaming. You're a victim of the other. They have caused you to feel like this. They have caused you to be in this situation. So you're saying you have no power. Now, in terms of grief, which is when I really powerfully experienced blame for the first time. Now, I'm not talking about childhood. I mean, when I was growing up, myself and my siblings were always blaming each other. You know, if there was a broken cup or a broken toy, nobody was ever responsible. And my mum used to say we had the invisible man living with us. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that powerful blame that is really hurtful. And back when I was 27 and my husband took his own life, there was so much blame targeted at me. Now, thankfully, I had 4 people who gave me love and support. And one of those was my husband's sister. Now, we were very close from day one. We had a very strong bond. She was never a sister-in-law to me. She was always a sister. Now, she told me she knew I wasn't to blame because she knew the truth. But she wasn't able to share the truth at that point because her and her brother had made a pact that until a certain event happened, they wouldn't share it with anybody. And at the point that he died, the event she spoke of hadn't happened. So I respected her for that. It also made me understand more about other people's grief, because the biggest question was why? Why? And I did blame myself. I was his wife. I should have seen it. I should have known. I should have done something. But the other powerful lesson I learned from that experience was that you never truly know what somebody's thinking, no matter how well you think you know them. And that was a powerful lesson that I've taken through my life with me to now. Which is why I really wish we could stop blaming. Because it achieves nothing. What we need to do is take responsibility for what's happened. Take responsibility for how we're feeling. What was our point, role in that situation? Or what's our role in how we're feeling? If we blame others, we're giving them all the power and suggesting that we have no power over what we do. We have no choice. We have no responsibility, and that's not true as adults. And the only way we learn is by acknowledging our mistakes. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. What I try and do is not make the same mistake twice. By claiming it, acknowledging that I made a mistake. And I'm learning from it, and that mistake, I will do everything in my power not to repeat it. I can't guarantee it because we're human. Things happen. Some things are out of our control. But blaming it doesn't change that. Blaming is about the ego. And people who constantly, repetitively blame others for how they feel, where their life is, what's happening around them, really lack self-awareness and empathy for others. Because the other thing that I've experienced with blame, it's rarely based on the truth. The story of blame is filled with lies and accusations that aren't true. But the story is taken up, gathers momentum, and more people are sharing the story, and they add their own little bit. And by the time it gets back, it's fascinating what you have or haven't done as the person being blamed for whatever it is. But what happens over time when the truth catches up and everybody finds out what the truth is? Then trust is lost. Now, I do believe that belief leads our approach to life, and it harnesses that mindful expression. And mindful expression is about response. Blame is a reaction. Now, if we're constantly blaming and never taking responsibility for our part or our feelings, people slowly lose trust in us and confidence. And therefore, they believe us less and less. Now, to understand why we believe what we believe, you need to trust the information that that belief is based on. And belief transforms into knowing, and knowing transforms into truth. There are still so many things in this world that we believe, but we still don't know if they're true. But the information that we have and that we're basing these beliefs on are enough for us to feel that we know that it's most probably true. But then there's other people that have different beliefs, that have used different information for them to know that it's most likely true. And then when those two converging beliefs come together, people start blaming each other and the information. The information's wrong. It's flawed. It's this. It's that. It's not true. But if we just stop for a moment before we blame anybody for anything that's happening in our lives or how we're feeling, and just think, what responsibility do we have? Now, most of the people back when I was 27 who were spreading those vicious lies and allegations and blaming me and saying the most horrible things, the aggression, the violence, but recently I met some people who were around at that time. Now, they didn't engage in that awful behaviour. They distanced themselves from all of it. And we talked about it. And once the truth came out, they were so apologetic. And they said that they just, at the time, could not understand why. And the big question was why. And nobody knew why. And because nobody knew why, apart from his sister, people made it up. What they thought could be the reason. And that spread like wildfire. And it was so harmful and so hurtful. But it was so nice to meet with those people. And I'm still in touch with them now. I always got on well with them. They were a big part of our social group prior to his death. And I accepted their apology, and I never blamed anybody. I didn't have the capacity, to be honest. I was just surviving and trying to work through my grief and move forward in the best way I could, safely, because at the time I wasn't in a very safe space. But I chose to stay because I knew I wasn't to blame and I wasn't going to be forced out of where I lived. Eventually I did. Eventually my life moved on. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in future videos. But the message I really want to leave with you is, don't blame it. Claim it. Think about, have empathy for others. If you don't know why, don't make it up. Be honest. Have integrity. If you've made a mistake, own up to it. What's the worst that can happen? It's better than blaming somebody else. What do you think? I might be wrong. I don't know. Look forward to hearing from you. Subscribe to my channel, and I hope you engage and we have a really good discussion. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.